What's up, guys? It's your boy Sion, and I'm back. And this is another Should I Play. Now, what I do with Should I Play is kind of help people who are on the outside looking in the MMOs that are longer than a year old. And it's kind of helps you get in there and understand what the game is about. I give you about 10 to 15 points in the game, and just to kind of help you. So if you're on the outside looking in, you want to play, you want to know if it's pay to win or whatever else like that, I'm here for you. Now this one is going to be about Neverwinter, and we're going to get right into it with our first number one thing about it, which is the pricing plan. Now the pricing plan for Neverwinter is free to play, but of course with free to play you have to know that they got to get some type of money from somewhere, which comes in with the cash shop. Now that's number two. Cash shop, is it heavy? I don't want to say heavy, but I will give it the fact that it has a lot in it that is beneficial. Do you actually need to do that? No. And here's the thing. In Neverwinter, you can spend between $50 to $100, and then after that, you don't have to spend anything else after that. It's kind of like just to have certain things unlocked and just to get bag space and things like that. Just quality of life type stuff. You don't have to spend any more. I would say 50 that you probably would have to spend just to unlock certain things, but after that I don't think so. After that, $100 is probably like the max that you'll have to spend on the game. And you think about like $15 every month on average. Well, now things are down to like maybe 10 to 12. So for a whole year you're looking at maybe like $120, $150, and I don't think you really even need to spend that much in this game. So there's that. So you can just think about that. There's people who's of course going to spend way more than that and go overboard, but you can't do anything about anybody else's pockets. You can just play within your own means and within your own pockets. But I don't really think at the end of the day that it's really that much beneficial. They'll just get there faster than you. Now with that said, as a DPS race you will lose to somebody who is spending money. It's just the reality of the situation, and you have to just, are you acceptable of that? Do you really care about that, or do you just you want to have fun with the game? Like, it's good if they're on your side, but it's not that great in PvP. So next up is number 3, which is the storyline and the plot. Neverwinter has a butt ton of storyline and plot. You even have a player-made quest. The player-made quest is a lot of people who make player-made quests that are just downright excellent at it, and I played a few. Like, I was like, wow, like this person really put a lot into this. Like, that's really sick right there. Like, look at that. That is crazy. Like, props to that person, man. Like, you just in awe when you're looking at it. You just love it. And it's just, Neverwinter is one of those games where it just allows you to be free flowing when it comes to quests. So storyline, plot, this game has a lot of it. They do a pretty good job. It's not award winning, but they do a really good job. Character creation. Now the character creation in this game is, I would give it above average. I wouldn't make it something like Black Desert, or even Black Desert or Blade Soul, or even Perfect World back in the day had some pretty in-depth stuff. It's good though. Neverwinter is above average, like I said. I give it like next to Skyforge, because Skyforge could be better, but Skyforge is just kind of like weird, and then Neverwinter has like this weird kind of look to it too. So there's that. So next up we have number 5, which is the classes. Now Neverwinter has about, I believe, 8 to 9 classes. I think there's another one coming too, but just to start off, there is Control Wizard, Devoted Cleric, Great Weapon Fighter, Guardian Fighter, Hunter Ranger, Oathbound Paladin, Scourge Warlock, and Trickster Rogue. Now all of them have their own things and everything like that. They're at one point in time with different modules that the game has came out with. The modules of the different patches that came with Neverwinter, like they have like module 1, module 2, that type of thing. Everyone pretty much has had their time to shine somewhat. I know people will probably disagree with me with that, but no, most of the classes really did have their time to shine, and some are easier than others. I see a lot of people using Great Weapon Fighter and Control Wizard to do stupid tons of, like, just super dump damage. They just recently nerfed Oathbound Paladin, which made me sad because I just recently started playing him again, got him up to like level 50 something, and then they're like, nerf, and I'm like, yeah, let's just go to number 1. Number 6, the dungeons. Neverwinter has a hell of a lot of dungeons. They have skirmishes, they have open world stuff that's going on, and a lot of raids. And this game actually is pretty good when it comes to that. They have content coming out at a regular basis when it comes out to dungeon wise and everything of raids, and it seems like it's just like every other month, and that's pretty good. That's on the level of like how Skyforge does it. So I give them props on that, and they got to be getting money from somewhere out of that cash out to keep putting out this content like this. So I give them props. I give them props. Like, it may not be that much or that fast when it comes to dungeons, but it's good enough. Gameplay wise, Neverwinter is a reaction type MMO, being that there's gonna be things that are gonna kind of send you out like a light in the ground, or if you're standing in fire, if you're standing in a circle, it's gonna project and tell you pretty much to get the hell out the way. And some things are fast, some things are slow, some things you just need to pay attention to. Sometimes the boss will emote, sometimes they will have a certain skill that they do that you need to block, dodge, or whatever your class mechanic is that you need to get out the way. Like tanks pretty much block it and absorb the damage. The healers can like dash and slide. Pretty much everybody else dashes and slides. So gameplay wise, Neverwinter is pretty solid gameplay wise. It does feel a little bit weird sometimes, like you're on skates. I don't know why that is. I just deal with it, but it does feel like you're on skates sometimes. It's unfortunate, but that's just the way the game is. But I feel the gameplay is fine. The auction house, I kind of like the auction house. It's a little bit unfair sometimes because like there is the pay to win aspect with the auction house, and I'm just skipping the numbers, but you guys get it. The auction house, pretty much. Here's the thing. There's a few people who made a few guides out here. I'm put one of them in the link in the description below, where it actually shows you how to maintain your VIP status, which I should have said. And number one, you can get VIP and it gives you a few, extra bonuses and everything else like this. But once you buy it once, you can actually maintain it after that if you do certain things. I'm gonna put a link in the description because I really am not a pro at doing it. I do it enough that I pretty much probably only would spend like $1 to $2 a month to keep my VIP, because I can make money, but I'm just not good as other people at doing it, so I'm not even gonna bother explaining it. But it happens. That's how good the auction house can be if you learn how to understand it, and you can just pretty much play the game for free after a point. So there's that. Trade skills in this game, which is this is number 9 now. I'm sorry, I forgot the numbers. The trade skills in this game is interesting. It's what I would call a time sink, just like the last game that I reviewed. It happens like certain things that you do, you can buy different parts, you can actually find parts in the world, and it just becomes a time sink. You tell the game, okay, I want to do this. Like, let's say if you're going to be leadership, I believe leadership is one. You want to actually have the leadership go out and do something. Okay, go out there and go scout or something like that. It'll take like a half hour or maybe an hour or something like that, and they come back and they'll find items or whatever else, and then you'll pretty much get that item. Most of the trade skills in the game are just like that. You very rarely have to actually sit there and hear that little sound, tink 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 or something like that. You don't really have to do all stuff like that, and as long as you spend the time in it, the trade skills will actually benefit you. And it's like micromanagement. Just again, like other types of games like that, as long as you micromanage it, it eventually becomes very lucrative for you. Just like Blade and Soul, just like Skyforge, just like a few things in World of Warcraft. And like it just, as long as you micromanage it, and when I say micromanage, I mean time micromanage. It's something different. Time micromanage means that the minute that timer is up, you are online, or you will log online and get in there and make that timer reset again, so there's never time wasted. If you do stuff like that with these types of trade skills, you will make a lot of money. So number 10, PvP. PvP and Neverwinter that might be the most fun out of all of the game, in my opinion. I could be wrong, but then again, I'm a PvP lover, so then I might be a little bit jaded when it comes to stuff like that. But PvP in this game is pretty fun. There's a lot of modes. They're always adding new modes. I know there's a lot of people who complain. They say, oh my god, he has like legendary stuff and all this type of stuff, but eventually everybody could get it. So if somebody got it faster than me, they just got it faster than me. If I run into them and they smash me, then hey, it happens. I'll come back and I'll smash somebody else. Is what it is. This is what happens in these types of games. You can't, after a point, you have to understand these types of games, they need to make money in some type of way. Yes, it's pay to win. Yes, sometimes it's really not fair. Sometimes it's really a high advantage and you really have like no shot at all. But you know what? I've beaten people who just totally look like cash out babies easily in several games. So to me, it's like, it's more of a challenge for me. If I actually run up on somebody like that and I win, then I'm like, you know what, damn, like, you, how much money did you spend? I spent $5 last month. You spent 5,000 and you lost. How does that feel? Think about it that way. Number 11, end game. End game, there's a whole ton of end game all the time in Neverwinter. Is it good? Sometimes it is. Like, it just depends on the bosses. It depends on the storyline. It depends on how fun it is to actually play the game, and or that particular storyline. If you're engrossed in that storyline, if you feel invested in that storyline, does it reach out to you, and do you want to get that loot? Is the loot worth it? Is the loot upgrade? This is all the stuff that end game brings to you, and does it feel like good? PvP, does that feel good? Like, just you have to think about it. So end game, in my opinion, and this, because they have so much of it all the time, and that it always refreshes and there's something new, and it doesn't exactly look the same, even though it's the same format sometimes, but it doesn't look the same, and new voice acted and everything else. Voice acted sounds pretty good. So I give Endgame you should definitely like it. It's one of those games out there that once you win it, once you do it and you get that loot and you win, you're like, yeah, boy, I like this, and you start to feel good about yourself, start to feel good about it. So last but not least is the final thoughts, which is number 12. My final thoughts about Neverwinter, ever since it originally came out, is one of those games that is within its own right. There's nothing else like Neverwinter. Nothing else plays like Neverwinter. Like, it has the D&D background. It just is always going to be its own thing. It's going to be like the niche, just constantly plodding along while the other, like, bigger names are just making noise, and Neverwinter's just steadily there, that game that you could just come in and play and have fun in. So my final thoughts with Neverwinter, whether you should play it or not, I say yes. I give it a 3 out of 3. You should play it. If you don't like it, cut it off. That's what I always say. I'm gonna get to the point where I'm probably gonna end up with some games, or I'm probably gonna give them a 1 or something like that, and be like, yeah, well, you should probably not bother with this. But this is definitely not one of those games. It's a unique game. It does have a few pay-to-win aspects about it, but I deal with it because I can basically play the game for free, and that evens things out for me, because I feel that I can benefit enough, and that I can actually play the game well enough that I really don't need to spend anything anymore. So if people are buying up tons and tons of stuff, let them. I'm just going to be happy with being good enough that I can play the game and have some fun in the game, and that the game is going to be good. So again, giving the game a 3 out of 3. You should play